It happens when you're not expecting it. You're lying in bed staring at the ceiling, and suddenly you're back there. Not physically, but your mind is. It's that one conversation, that one moment, that thing you said or didn't say, and even though it happened weeks ago, months ago, maybe even years ago, it feels like it's happening right now. You remember the room, the way the light came through the window, the exact tone of their voice. You remember where you were standing, what you were wearing, the small crack in the wall you were staring at while they spoke. Every detail is sharp, too sharp, like your mind recorded it in high definition and now it won't stop playing it back. You try to focus on something else. You scroll through your phone, you turn on a video, you get up, walk to the kitchen, pour water you don't really want to drink. But the memory follows you. It doesn't announce itself, it just appears. In the silence between tasks, in the gap between one thought and another. It slides in like it belongs there. And the strange thing is, it's not always a bad memory. Sometimes it's just ordinary. A conversation that went fine. A moment that seemed fine at the time. Nothing dramatic happened, nothing broke. But your mind keeps going back to it anyway. You keep replaying what you said, how you said it, the pause before they responded, the way they looked at you or didn't look at you. You lie there and think, why this moment? Why not something bigger, something that actually mattered? Why does your brain choose this one small exchange, this one forgettable afternoon, and decide to loop it endlessly in your head? You start to notice it happens most at night, when the room is dark and quiet and there's nothing left to distract you. That's when it comes. You're tired, you want to sleep, but your mind wants to revisit. It wants to go over it again. Just one more time, and then one more time after that. You think about what you could have said differently, what you should have said. You imagine the conversation going another way. You rewrite it in your head. You give yourself better words, clearer thoughts, more confidence. You picture their reaction. You wonder if they even remember it the way you do. You wonder if they remember it at all. Sometimes you catch yourself mid-replay and you think, this is pointless. It's over. It doesn't matter anymore. Let it go. But you can't, because even though you tell yourself it's done, some part of you doesn't believe it. Some part of you is still standing in that room, still waiting for the moment to resolve itself. You get up again. You walk to the bathroom. You look at your face in the mirror and think, why am I like this? Why can't I just move on? But you already know the answer isn't simple, because if it were simple, you wouldn't be here at 3 a.m, replaying a conversation from last spring that you can't even explain why it matters. The memory doesn't come with an explanation. It just comes, and it stays, and you're left trying to make sense of it, trying to understand why your mind won't let it go. You keep going back to it because something about it isn't done. That's what you tell yourself. Something isn't done. But what? What isn't done? The conversation is over. It ended. You walked away. So why does it feel like you're still there? Maybe it's because you didn't say what you wanted to say. You said something, but not what you meant. Not really. You were trying to say one thing and somehow it came out different. Wrong. Not wrong exactly. Just not right. And you could feel it as you were saying it. You could feel it coming out wrong, but you couldn't stop it. You just kept talking. And then it was too late, and now you keep rewriting it in your head. You keep thinking, if I could do it again, if I could go back, I would say it differently. I would say it better. I would be clearer, smarter, calmer. I would be someone else. You replay the conversation, but you change your part. You give yourself better words, You make yourself braver. You say what you actually meant. And in your head, it goes better. In your head, they understand. They smile. They nod. They get it. And it feels finished. But then you remember that's not what happened. That's not real. And you're back to the actual memory. The real one. The one where you said the wrong thing. Where you stumbled. Where you saw that look on their face. That look you're still trying to understand. What did that look mean? You've thought about this so many times. You've analyzed their face like you're studying a photograph. Like if you look hard enough, you'll finally understand. But you don't. You just keep guessing. Keep making up meanings. Keep trying to read their mind. Maybe they were annoyed. Maybe you said too much. Maybe you should have just stayed quiet. Or maybe they were confused. Maybe you didn't say enough. Maybe you should have explained better. Or maybe they didn't care at all. Maybe it meant nothing to them. Maybe that look was nothing, and you're the only one who's been thinking about it for weeks. That's worse. That's almost worse than them being annoyed. The idea that this moment that you can't stop thinking about, to them it's nothing. It's already gone. It's already forgotten. You think about the silence. There was that silence at the end, after you spoke, before they responded. You remember that silence so clearly. It felt heavy. It felt like it lasted forever, like the air got thick, like something was hanging there between you and you didn't know what it was. But maybe it wasn't heavy. Maybe you're remembering it wrong. Maybe it was just a normal silence, a normal pause. People pause. People think before they speak. It doesn't mean anything, but it felt like it meant something, and you can't shake that feeling. You keep searching for the moment it went wrong. You replay it from the beginning. You watch yourself walk in, sit down, start talking. You're looking for the exact moment, the exact second where it shifted, where it went from okay to whatever it became, but you can't find it because maybe there is no moment. Maybe it was fine the whole time. Maybe you're inventing a problem that doesn't exist. But if the problem doesn't exist, why can't you stop thinking about it? You imagine what you would say if you saw them again. If you had another chance. You've written whole speeches in your head, long explanations, apologies, clarifications. You've practiced them. You've said them out loud when you're alone. You've made them perfect, but you know you'll never say them. If you see them again, you'll probably just say hi. You'll probably act like nothing happened, because nothing did happen, right? Nothing happened. It was just a conversation, just a normal day. Nothing worth explaining, nothing worth going back to, except you do go back to it every night, every quiet moment, every time your mind has space to wander. It goes there, to that room, to that moment, to that feeling of, what is the feeling? Regret, embarrassment, confusion, shame? You don't even know. It's just this weight, this thing sitting in your chest that won't move. This sense that something is unfinished and you don't know how to finish it. You wonder if this is what your mind does, if this is just how you are, if everyone else moves on from conversations, but you stay in them, you live in them. You turn them over and over until they don't even look like the original thing anymore, until you've worn them down to something unrecognizable. You're tired of it. You're tired of your own thoughts. You're tired of this memory, but tired doesn't make it stop. Tired just makes you more tired, and the memory keeps playing. You lie there, eyes open now. You've given up on sleep. You just lie there and let it play. Because what else can you do? You can't turn it off. You can't delete it. You can only watch again and again and again. Your brain doesn't want you to forget. That's what you've realized. It won't let you forget because it thinks something about this matters. It thinks you need to remember. It thinks if you remember hard enough, if you replay it enough times, you'll figure out what went wrong. And then you won't let it happen again. But what went wrong? You still don't know. Your mind is trying to protect you. That's what you read somewhere once. That's what you tell yourself when you're lying there at 4 in the morning. Your mind is trying to keep you safe. It's trying to make sure you don't make the same mistake, whatever the mistake was. But it doesn't feel like protection. It feels like punishment. It feels like being trapped, like being locked in a room with the same movie playing on repeat and you can't find the door. The thing is, the memory isn't even the whole story. It's not about the conversation. Not really, it's about how the conversation made you feel. And that feeling is old. You felt it before, many times before. That feeling of saying the wrong thing, of being too much or not enough, of being misunderstood, of standing there wishing you could disappear. That feeling has been with you for years, long before this conversation, long before this person. This moment just triggered it, reminded you of it, brought it back up to the surface where you have to look at it again, and your mind is trying to understand it. Why do you feel this way? Why does this keep happening? Why can't you just be normal? Why can't conversations just be conversations? Why does everything feel so complicated? Why do you always walk away feeling like you did it wrong? You don't have answers. You just have questions. Questions that circle around and around in your head until you can't tell them apart anymore. Your mind doesn't like unfinished things. You know that about yourself. You've always been like this. You need closure. You need endings. You need things to make sense. And when they don't, when something ends without resolving, you can't let it go. You can't file it away. It just stays there, active, open, waiting for an ending that might never come. This conversation doesn't have an ending. It just stopped. You said something. They said something. You left. That's not an ending. That's just stopping. And your mind doesn't know what to do with that, so it keeps going back, keeps trying to find the ending, keeps searching for the resolution that isn't there. You wonder if they have an ending, if in their mind the conversation is complete, finished, done. If they closed that chapter and moved on while you're still stuck on the same page, reading it over and over, trying to understand what it says. Maybe the memory isn't trying to teach you anything. Maybe it's just stuck, like a record that's scratched, like a loop that doesn't know how to break. And you're just living in the loop, going around and around, hoping that eventually it will make sense, that eventually the feeling will fade. But when? When does it fade? How many times do you have to replay it before your mind decides it's done? Before it decides you've learned whatever lesson you were supposed to learn, or accepted that there is no lesson, that it was just a moment, just something that happened, nothing more. You want to let it go. You've told yourself to let it go 100 times, 1,000 times. Let it go. It doesn't matter. Move on. But telling yourself doesn't work. Wanting to let go isn't the same as letting go. You can't force it. You can't decide it's time to be over it and then just be over it. So you're here, still replaying, still analyzing, still trying to figure out what your mind wants from you, what it's trying to tell you, what it needs you to understand. Maybe it just needs you to sit with it, to stop fighting it, to stop trying to make it go away or make sense of it, to just let it be there, let it exist, let it play without judging yourself for it without thinking something is wrong with you because you can't let go. Maybe there's nothing wrong with you. Maybe this is just what minds do. They hold on to things. They replay things. They try to make sense of things that don't make sense. And maybe that's okay. Maybe it doesn't mean anything about you. Maybe it's just how it is. You're still lying there. The memory is still there. But something feels different now. Not better, just different. Lighter maybe. Or maybe you're just too tired to care anymore. Too tired to keep fighting your own thoughts. You close your eyes. You let the memory play. You don't try to stop it. You don't try to change it. You just watch it like watching clouds pass. Like watching something that's happening, but not to you. Not really, just happening. And then one night, it's different. You're lying there. Same bed, same ceiling, same darkness. The memory comes, like it always does. But this time, you notice it, and then you notice it leaving. It doesn't grab you. It doesn't pull you back there. It just passes through, like a thought, just a thought. You don't know when it changed. You don't remember a moment where it suddenly got easier. It just did, slowly. So slowly you didn't notice. Until now, until tonight. When the memory came and you realized it doesn't hurt the same way. It's still there. You still remember. But it's quieter now, softer. Like something that happened a long time ago instead of something that's still happening. Like a story someone told you once instead of something you lived. You think about it. The conversation, the moment, and you realize you don't need to understand it anymore. You don't need to figure out what they meant. You don't need to know if you said the right thing. You don't need an ending. Because it is ended. It's been ended. It ended the day it happened. You just didn't know it yet. Maybe your mind needed time. Time to turn it over. Time to look at it from every angle. Time to exhaust itself trying to make sense of something that was never going to make sense. And now it's tired. Now it's done. Now it's ready to let it rest. You've replayed it so many times, hundreds of times, thousands maybe, and each time it got a little less urgent, a little less sharp, a little more like a memory and less like a moment you're still living in. You think about all the other moments like this, the ones that came before, the ones that felt impossible to move past, the ones that kept you up at night, the ones you thought you'd think about forever. And you realize you don't think about them anymore. You can barely remember them. They faded without you noticing, without you deciding. They just faded, and this one will too. Maybe it already has. Maybe you're just now noticing. You don't need to forgive yourself. You don't need to make peace with it. You don't need to understand why your mind held on to it for so long. You just need to let it be. Let it exist in your past. Let it be something that happened, nothing more, nothing less. The memory comes again. Brief, quick. Just a flash of that moment, that room, that feeling. And then it's gone. And you don't chase it. You don't pull it back. You don't dive into it. You just let it go. Let it drift away, like smoke, like something that was never meant to stay. You're lying in bed. The room is dark. You're tired, actually tired, not just physically tired, but mentally tired. Tired in a way that feels like relief, like you've been carrying something heavy and you finally put it down. You think about tomorrow, about the small things you need to do. Make coffee, answer emails, take a shower, normal things, boring things, things that have nothing to do with that moment, that conversation, that memory. And for the first time in a long time, you're not dreading tomorrow. You're not thinking about the past. You're just here, in the present, in the dark, in the quiet, just breathing, just existing. The memory is still there somewhere, in the background, in the archive of things that happened to you, but it's not in the foreground anymore. It's not demanding your attention. It's not asking questions you can't answer. It's just there, quiet, settled, at peace. And so are you. You close your eyes. You don't fight sleep. You don't fight your thoughts. You just close your eyes and drift, and let the darkness take you, and let the memory stay where it belongs, in the past, where it's been all along. Tomorrow you might think about it again. Probably you will, but it won't be the same. It won't have the same weight, the same urgency. It'll just be a thought, a passing thought, a memory of a memory. And that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. That's how things fade. Not all at once, not dramatically, just slowly, quietly, until one day you realize they don't hurt anymore. Until one day you realize you're free. You're almost asleep now. The room is dark, the world is quiet, and the memory is quiet too. Finally, after all this time, finally quiet. And you let it be quiet. You let yourself be quiet. You let everything be quiet, and you sleep.